I spray easy learning in every class, and I've noticed a dramatic difference in terms of the ability to take in information during the class and also the ability to retain the information after the class. So there's 2 essences in here for focus, 2 essences in here for integration. Now, the white spruce and the stinging nettle are for integration. I'll talk about those briefly. White spruce is to integrate the emotions, the mind, the mental component, the emotional component, and the energetic component. So whenever you get spread out and there's too much mental or maybe too much emotional, too much energy, white spruce is what balances all of those out. So it's basically, I want to be able to approach a new subject or approach going to a class or a new experience. I want to approach that from an integrated place. I don't want to dive into something in a slightly disintegrated posture. So white spruce is holding that space, and it's one of the most prolific and powerful trees in Alaska, so it's handy that there's so much of it out there. And stinging nettle, so this is working. How many people have been stung by stinging nettle? Oh, the rest of you are really missing out. We've got some in Homer. There's some right out the...
You step on it, it's a horror.
There's some right out the front door of the yurt. So what does it feel like?
Electric.
Yeah. So it's a very electric experience, and stings for a while after you touch it. And when I first sat down and tuned into stinging nettle, I drew a nerve, complete with the sheath and the synapses and the dendrites and all this kind of stuff, which I had no idea where that was coming from because I didn't really pay that much attention in school. I'm sure they talked about it. But I just drew it, and I didn't know what it was, and I handed it to somebody that knew that kind of stuff, and they go, oh, that's how the nerves work, the synapses, and And so there's actually an overload that takes place. And I studied up on this. So when the nervous system is overloaded, it shuts down. Certain parts of the nervous system will shut down and go offline. And it'll reroute the information past that part that's shut down. So what stinging nettle does is it goes in and helps to process that backlog or that overload in that area that's shut down so that it can come back online. Brilliant. They don't have enough filters to filter out the stuff coming in, and then it just collects in certain areas, and then they have to blow it back out. So stinging nettle is really good, along with white spruce, just to integrate the amount of information that's coming in, the amount of input that's coming in. So really great for studying. One of the reasons I didn't study well is because I was so open to information. I was getting non-physical information, physical information. The hoppers were already full by the time it came around to studying about whatever I was supposed to be doing for the class next day. I didn't know that. I had no clue until I met stinging nettle that was happening. So it's different for older people than younger people. Younger people don't have so much that issue as they do the focus issue. So star ruby and bunchberry are for the focus. Now, everybody has focus. It's just on different things. I can look at somebody when I'm talking to them and tell whether they're focusing on me or the present moment or if they're off somewhere else. I mean, all of you can do that. So Star Ruby is saying sharp-pointed focus in the present moment. We talked about it earlier in the class. It's like the kids that are coming in that have this higher degree of connection to information, they still need to learn how to focus it, and they need to learn how to focus it in the physical realm. It's like, okay, yeah, there's this knowing, there's this connection that you're in the flow and everything, but there's something right here that we need to do in this moment. And it's to master Star Ruby is to be able to just shift that. Okay, I'm totally focused here, and then we're done with that, and then I move that totally focused over here, and then we'll do that, and then I can be totally focused over here. And it's a really great feeling. And bunchberry is prioritizing. And it's very much about distraction. So it's for people who purposefully maintain distraction in their lives. And so distraction is whatever takes you out of the moment. My personal experience of making bunchberry, the most distracting thing was mosquitoes. So I was in Lake Michigan making bunchberry in a place where bunchberry grows. There are tons of mosquitoes because it's sort of the wet, foresty areas. And I thought I was either going to die from blood loss or from the accumulation of the toxins that it's actually a anticoagulant that they inject so the blood flows better. I was getting high from all of that. And at one point I thought, I cannot finish this essence, because I'm picking the little bunchberries and putting them in the bowl. And that I would just run screaming from the woods, and people are like, okay, he's flipped, he's gone over the edge. And bunchberry kept talking to me and saying, well, pay attention, just pay attention to us, pay attention to what we stand for. And at one point, a switch went on. The bugs actually physically moved away from my body. Still hundreds of them around, but they didn't bite me anymore. And I could finish the essence. And I went inside to sort of, when it was all done, and like, oh, that's pretty amazing what just happened. And they're like, that's what total focus and concentration looks like. You're so focused and so concentrated that the mosquitoes can't even break in. They can't even get in past that. You just, you've just flipped it over. It's like the blue pill or the red pill, I just got into that place. So, fast forward, I'm trying to write about bunchberry. And I'm in a house with 3 other people and 2 cats and a dog. And because I pay rent there, but I don't have my own space. And so I'm sitting in the living room trying to write about bunchberry. And I can't write about this. I've got my notes and I'm trying to collate and make sense of it. And, for the next catalog or the book or whatever. And I almost wanted to just scream at everybody to get out, throw the cats out, leave me alone. And bunchberry's like, Steve, you know what we're about, just focus, just concentrate on us and ask us for help. And the same thing happened. I just went into this bubble. I no longer heard anything, no longer noticed anything was going on in the room, and I was just writing away. So this is about being able to fully focus on what is up for you, doesn't matter what it is, in that moment. And to be able to prioritize what the beauty or the gift, one of the gifts of bunchberry is, the universe has already prioritized everything for you. You just need to pay attention. To not worry about, oh, there's 50 things I got to do today. No, there's only really one thing you have to do today. And then one more. So it's great for people who have a lot on their plate, have a lot going on, find themselves really frazzled at the end of the day, trying to get 15 plates in the air when you just need to have one in the air at a time, and then put that one down and throw up another one. Blue topaz. This is another one that we have a lot because for some reason it was on the list to make 2 years in a row, so we've got a lot of that because I like making it so much. Okay, so this is what's happening with the young ones. They already have this, and the rest of us need this, in my opinion. Encourages the clear expression of our soul's identity through the evolution of our thinking processes. So the soul's identity coming through the thinking processes. So that's a link that they already have wired. And they can understand why we don't. What that also means is that the thinking processes, there are the old ways of thinking and the new ways of thinking, and they come in and they represent the new ways of thinking, which is much more direct. It's much more, to the point. Opens our awareness to the higher soul mental functions. How does the soul work with universal mind? How does universal mind work with the body? How does universal mind influence brain activity? All those kinds of things are like, 4, 5, 6-year-olds could sit down and tell you about that. So this is really good for anybody who is having difficulty. I've got this going on up here, but I'm having a hard time bringing it down here. I've got all this stuff that I think about. I have these visions. I have this urge, this inspiration to do these things on the planet. And I just can't get from A to B. I can't get it from that higher inspirational frequency to the physical, to putting it into action. Like, I need to write that book. I've got all these ideas, and I just can't get it, done. So blue topaz is great for that. And it's also very calming. I mean, just looking at the color and that sort of like jumping into a pool of water, that color would be really soothing and calming. That's kind of what it does. So that's easy learning.